Don't lose 20, 30, or even $50,000 when buying your home. Home buyers every year make mistakes costing them huge sums of money. Not because buyers are careless, but because nobody told them what to watch out for. Today, I'm going to change that. I'm going to walk you through the 5 mistakes that cost home buyers thousands of dollars and in some cases cause deals to completely fall apart. Now these are real mistakes made by real buyers right here in the Denver metro area, and every single one of them is completely avoidable. All right, let's get into it. Now, mistake number 1, not taking advantage of first-time homebuyer programs and down payment assistance. Now this is probably the most expensive mistake on this entire list, and it's one that flies completely under the radar. Here's what I see that happens quite a bit. A buyer comes into me and they've been saving up diligently. They have their down payment ready, they're pre-approved, and everything looks good. But then I ask them, did your lender talk to you about first-time homebuyer programs or even down payment assistance? The answer is almost always no. And that right there is a problem. In Colorado, the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority, known as CHFA, offers programs that can provide down payment assistance of up to 3% of your loan amount, and in some cases, even reduced interest rates for qualifying buyers. On a $500,000 loan, 3% is $15,000. That is real money that could stay in your pocket. Now, here's the important part. Not every lender is approved to offer them. If you walk into a bank and you ask for a mortgage, the loan officer there may have no idea what CHFA is or even how to access it. So my advice is this: before you settle on a lender, talk to at least 2 or 3 other lenders for options. Ask each one directly, what first-time home buyer programs do you offer? And are you CHFA approved? If they look at you blankly, there's your answer. And if you're not a first-time home buyer, don't tune this out, because some of these programs apply to repeat buyers in certain income brackets. So it's always worth asking. The bottom line on mistake number 1, free money and reduced rates, they exist, but most buyers never access them simply because they didn't ask. All right, mistake number 2, not looking at homes that have been on the market longer than 3 months or even ignoring significant price reductions. Now, this one is more of a mindset mistake than anything else, and it costs buyers real negotiating leverage every single day. Here's the psychology behind it. When buyers search for homes online, there's a natural tendency to gravitate towards the fresh listings, the new ones, the homes that just hit the market. And I get it. New feels exciting. It feels like a great opportunity. But here's what most buyers may not realize. A home that's been sitting on the market for 90 days or more, or a home that has had significant price adjustments, price reductions, is often one of the best opportunities in the entire market. So let's think about it from the seller's perspective. If your home has been listed for 3 months and it hasn't sold, something has to change. Either the price has to come down or the terms, they have to get more flexible, or probably both. Sellers in that position are motivated. And motivated sellers, they absolutely negotiate. In the current Denver metro market where homes are averaging 30 days on market in say Arapahoe County, well, that's a meaningful number. I mean, because there are properties that are sitting well past that average. Those are the listings where you have real power as a buyer. So here's what to look for when you're searching on, say, Zillow or Realtor.com, or let's say you're working with an agent through the MLS. You want to filter specifically for days on market. Look at anything over 60 days with fresh eyes. Find out maybe why it's been sitting. Sometimes it's a pricing issue. Sometimes it needed some updates that the seller finally got around to doing. Sometimes it's just, believe it or not, just bad listing photos. So pay close attention also to price history. A home that started at like $575 and is now listed at $519 is telling you something important. It's telling you that the seller has already demonstrated flexibility, and that's a negotiating opening. As an example, one of my buyers last fall was interested in a property that had been on the market for over 4 months. It initially listed at $500,000 and had a couple price reductions, and then when we offered $435. And his offer was accepted. Now that's a $65,000 savings off the original list price, because he was looking at homes that had been on the market for over 90 days. And so now I want to be clear. Some homes, they have real problems. And that's why an inspection matters. And we're going to talk about that in mistake number 4. But the point of all this is, don't automatically skip over homes that have been on the market for a while, because sometimes the best deal is one everyone else has scrolled past. All right, mistake number 3, not knowing that you can ask the seller to pay for closing costs and an interest rate buy down. Now, this one makes me want to pull my hair out, and I already have short hair as it is, but it's really frustrating because it's so common, yet it's so fixable. I can't tell you how many buyers sit across the table from me and have no idea that, we can ask the seller to cover closing costs and even buy down their interest rate. They think they have to pay for everything themselves, but you don't, not in this market. Closing costs on a home purchase typically run anywhere from 2% to 5% of the loan amount. So again, using $500,000 as the example, that's $10,000 to $25,000 on top of your down payment. Now that's a significant chunk of cash, but in a market where sellers are motivated and homes are sitting longer, like right now, many sellers are willing to offer what's called a seller concession, where they contribute money towards your closing costs as part of the deal. That alone can save you thousands of dollars at the closing table. But here's where it gets even better. And this connects directly back to another video I talked about, which is the interest rate buy downs. You can ask the seller to fund an interest rate buy down on your behalf by asking for these seller concessions. They don't have to just go to closing costs. They can go to an interest rate buy down. So a 2-1 rate buy down on a $500,000 loan, that's an estimate ballpark figure that's going to cost you anywhere from $11,000 to $12,000. And we're going to ask the seller to pay for that. And then you as the buyer, you're going to enjoy significantly a lower mortgage payment for those first 2 years. In year 1 of a 2-1 buy down at today's rates, you could potentially save over $600 a month on your mortgage payment. And the seller funds it, you benefit, and it costs you nothing out of pocket. But here's the key. You have to ask for it. It has to be written into your offer. A seller's not just going to give this away or just volunteer it. But in today's Denver market where sellers need to compete for buyers, this conversation is absolutely worth having. And by the way, this is exactly the kind of strategy that I help my buyers execute. When you work with me, I really want to make sure that you know every tool available before we write an offer. And don't forget, I'm also giving you up to $1,600 myself just for allowing me to be your agent. And we're going to talk about that more a little bit later on. All right, mistake number 4, not doing a full home inspection. That's house, that's sewer, that's radon, that's septic, that's well. I want you to really look at this one because this is super, super interesting because it can cost you thousands of dollars skipping out on the home inspection. Because when you do that, you're really, if something's wrong and we don't know about it, you're going to pay for it, down the road when you absolutely own the house. And so, but yet there's a lot of buyers that do that. And so in Colorado specifically, a full home inspection is not just the standard home inspection. It includes several additional components that are critical to the property. Now, the general home inspection, that's your baseline. That's what we call just the home inspection. We're going to talk about sewer and radon and some of the others. And this is where just the base inspection, a qualified inspector will look at the roof, the foundation, the electrical, the plumbing, the HVAC, windows, doors, and they're going to document any type of defects. Now, this is going to run you probably about $500 to $600. Now, here's where you get into some of those add-ons. The sewer scope, that's one a lot of buyers skip. It's only $200, and it can end up being, it can save you a lot of money if you get it done. Now, the sewer scope involves running a camera through the sewer line from your home or to the home you're going to buy to the main connection. And in Denver, some of these older Denver metro areas, the sewer lines are made of clay or cast iron that has been deteriorated or cracked or been infiltrated by tree roots. And replacing that sewer line can run anywhere from $4,000 to $12,000. And the sewer inspection is only $200. So it's very well worth it to have a sewer scope done. Radon, that's another issue out here in Colorado. It's a naturally occurring radioactive gas. It comes up from the ground, and Colorado has some of the highest radon levels in the entire country. You can't see it, can't smell it, can't taste it. And it's the second leading cause of lung cancer in the United States. A radon test added to your inspection is going to be an extra $200. But a mitigation system, if we find elevated radon levels, that could run you $1,500. We're going to ask the seller to pay for that. If the property has a septic system rather than public sewer, you definitely want to get that inspected and you want to get that pumped. A failing septic system, that's another thing. You're talking $10,000 to $30,000. If you don't have that done, you close on the deal and then something happens down the road, that's you paying for it. If the property has a well and as a water source, which a lot of the properties in the Eastern Plains and out in the mountains they do, you're going to want to have that inspected for its condition. Maybe even have to do a chlorine shock on it. And I promise you, I help buyers in the Eastern Plains as well as the mountains, and it's very common. So to look at the well and have that inspected. So I absolutely have you covered. Now I know I threw a lot at you right there, but this is the reality with this. The inspection period is your one window that you can get. If there's something that comes up that's wrong or it needs repaired, you can have the seller repair that for you. And so this is why you want to have this complete inspection done. Now, a good real estate agent, they're going to really protect you through this process, and a great one's going to use what we find to get through the inspection objection to get some of these repairs done. All right, we're going to get to mistake number 5 here, and this is not using a competent, qualified real estate agent who has your interests at heart. And I want to be upfront with you. Yes, I am a real estate agent, but not all real estate agents are the same. And I know that might seem obvious, but buyers often treat this as an afterthought. So here's what a competent buyer's agent should actually be doing for you. They know the market well enough to tell you if a home is priced right, maybe it's overpriced or even undervalued. They run continual market analyses on the homes you're interested to find out what similar homes have sold for, and that's your starting point. They know what neighborhoods are appreciating and which ones have challenges. They know how to structure an offer that is competitive. They're going to be asking for those concessions I mentioned. They know how to negotiate the inspection findings and make sure that we're going to get things that are health, safety, structure. We're going to get those taken care of by the seller. When I work with buyers, here's what I bring to the table beyond some of the things I've just already described. I'm going to be providing you $1,000 cash credit at closing to help you with buy down the interest rate. And I'm going to also purchase you a home warranty that protects all your major appliances. Now, if you don't want that home warranty, it usually costs me about $575. But if you don't want that, I'll round that up to $600. Now I'm going to give you $1,600 that you can use towards buying down the interest rate. I believe a buyer who is set up financially for success in the first year of their home ownership is a client who will have a great year in their home. And this is why, having the right agent, this is what it looks like. Someone who knows the market, fights for your interest, and puts real money back in your pocket. So how do you avoid making those thousands of dollars worth of mistakes when buying a home? Well, number one, let's go ahead and recap this. Not taking advantage of first-time homebuyer programs. So we want to take advantage of that. Absolutely. We're going to ask about CHFA. We're going to ask about down payment assistance. Number two, we're going to make sure that we don't ignore homes that have been on the market for over 90 days. Just like my buyer last fall who got $65,000, savings off of what was the original list price. Number three, making sure that, we know, and I've already mentioned this a couple times, we're going to ask the seller for concessions. We're going to make sure we do that. All of my buyers this year have gotten anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 worth of seller concessions. Number four, we're not going to skip a full inspection. We're going to make sure that everything comes to light, that you have peace of mind. And if there's something wrong in the inspection, we're going to ask the seller to take care of it. And number five, having basically a real estate agent who fights for you. If you're thinking about buying a home in the Denver or Colorado Front Range and you want someone in your corner who will make sure that none of these mistakes happen to you, I'd definitely love to work with you. And if this video resonated with you, if it helped you, please hit that like button and subscribe. It helps more Denver area buyers find this information before they make an expensive mistake. Now, I'm Dave Michael, the House Wrangler with You First Realty. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, happy trails.